You mentioned Next13, the pages router. Sorry, you mentioned the pages router. And do you think that the app router solves a lot of the problems that you were having with the pages router?
It not only does it solve the problems I was having with pages router, it solves problems I didn't know could be solved with a router. I was really skeptical going in, like notoriously so. I pushed like don't bother with app router for a while, just stick with pages router, it's fine. I'm at the point now where like even if you're building things the traditional like SSR like pages router way, you should move to app router and just mount everything as a client component, because the DX and like the new functionality that's introduced is just so good that it's hard to justify missing out.
Can you give an example?
Layouts.
Okay.
Layouts in pages router weren't just bad, they were tragic. I just did a video. I built the same app in 5 stacks, where I went through all the stacks I've used in my career and built the same app 5 times with all of them. And the last 2 were OG T3 stack with pages router, and then modern Next.js with server components. And I had forgotten until that moment just how bad layouts were. So for context, like if you're on a web page and you have like your top nav and your sidebar, and you click something on the sidebar and it opens up like a dashboard inside that has a top nav, then you click something inside and it navigates further. The idea of like a nested layout that has the core content in the middle is a concept that does not exist in Next.js pages router. There is no concept of a layout at all. You can't have a wrapper component that every subpage gets mounted in. The closest thing they have is a pattern they recommend where you bind a get layout function to the page function. So if you have like your homepage component, underneath you do homepage.getLayout equals a function that isn't a component. It can't be a component. It has to be a getter that takes in not a prop, but a child that it then returns as JSX with that child. And then it doesn't just work, by the way. You have to go to the app.tsx file and add a check, grabbing this weird prop you just defined on the function that you're trying to render itself, to rip out that layout function, wrap the thing, and then return it. And this only works at a depth of 1. As soon as you have 2 layouts, this entire pattern just stops working. It's 5 times more work to get 1 layer of depth. Or with app router, it's no work and infinite depth. Like it's just obvious, which makes more sense. And every single site I've ever worked in benefits from having like a shared layout structure of some form. I can't remember last time I worked in a code base that didn't need layouts in some way.
That makes sense. I skipped over pages completely. I just jumped right into app router.
I think a big part of why the T3 stack exists is because of how bad pages router was.
So